Kaboom! The cannon exploded with a force that sent a wave of shock through our 15,000 bodies. And they're off! The announcer's voice echoed across the crowd of cyclists, restrained by the start line on Main Street. Ladies and gentlemen, the 25th annual 2009 Hotter Than Hell race is officially underway. We have a record crowd here in Wichita Falls. His amplified voice was drowned out by thousands of cleats clicking into their pedals. This race had always been difficult for me. First, it's a little over 100 miles long, and temperatures usually break the century mark well before noon. The southerly late August headwinds make that last 40 miles unbearable. The first year I rode, I fell prey to heat exhaustion about mile 75 and had to endure the finish line humiliation of being hauled back into town on a flatbed trailer. Every year after that, it seemed there was always one problem or another. Either flats, dehydration, or just poor planning. But in the sixth attempt, I made a commitment to train as hard as I could. In the week before the race, I woke every morning to ride 70 miles so that for once, I might finally have my long-deserved field day. As I waited for the crowd to move, some arrogant 40-something, 2 riders over, was bragging. Yeah, man, the first time I rode this, I finished in 5 hours, kicked my ass, but man, I tore it up. 5 hours, geez. I had never finished in less than 7. This jerk was younger, stronger, better looking, and, well, I hated it. Younger riders like him made me feel old, and they brought back painful memories that had haunted me all my life, like back in high school PE. I was not athletic, and I would do anything to hide it. Track and basketball weren't so bad. I found that all I had to do was simply run around a lot. Football was worse. But to handle that, I developed a very impressive method of escaping attention by getting lost in the confusion of the rush and then acting melodramatically dazed in the aftermath of the play as though I had no idea what had just happened. But softball, that injected panic into my soul like nothing else. When my turn at bat came, I walked to the plate just like Morgan Freeman walking the Green Mile. My heart would race and my senses would dull as I prepared once again to strike out with dramatically feigned frustration. Please, God, if you're there, let me forget this painful memory today and in color no less, of the time I lost my grip on the bat just at the perfect moment of the swing so as to launch it high into the air and all the way beyond first base. My team moaned. The boys on the field looked down at their feet and just kicked at the dust until the moment passed. One of my grandmothers used to call me special. And a well-meaning great aunt in West Texas would say at Thanksgiving dinner, "Boy, when are you gonna put some meat on those bones?" I was skinny, underdeveloped, scared shitless of balls hurled at me. And I threw like a girl. I didn't want to be like that, and I just didn't think I could change. My dad died when I was young, and I had no one to turn to. All I knew to do was to navigate these frightening moments on my own as best I could. So I lived most of my life in fear of and avoiding all sports. As most men do in our mid-40s, I put on a few pounds, so I joined White Rock Athletic. "Hey, you want to give spin a try?" This cheery older guy named Pete heckled at me as I was leaving the gym one night. "Got an empty saddle. It's only 45 minutes. Got cool music, too. Come on, give it a try." There was something odd about this old guy. First, he was inviting me to participate in a sport. I didn't know why, but for some reason I said, sure. 45 minutes later, I was retching in the men's room. I had never experienced anything so strenuous in my entire life. So the next day I returned. And the next, and the next, and the next. I became addicted to spin. And then I became really good at it. The 6 a.m. spin class was like my morning mass. I dropped all that weight and then some. I began riding with others outdoors. Then I became the strongest rider in my group. For years, I rode between 100 and 200 miles a week. I entered countless endurance rides and tours of 500 miles a week or more. I joined several teams, rode their most aggressive rides. I was even invited to join a master's team. But as the years passed, it became increasingly difficult for me to maintain that edge. As younger riders passed me so effortlessly in their brightly colored team gear and cool riding glasses, I began to resent. The first 25 miles of Hotter Than Hell is always a breeze. Blood vessels coursing with adrenaline. I flew through the roller coaster hills with the leading mass of 2,000 or 3,000 riders. My speed surged into the 40s and even low 50s on the downhills with strong tailwinds at my back. I felt stronger than ever before. With the day's increasing winds, long pace lines formed. From hilltops, I could see there were only a few hundred riders ahead of me. I synced my rhythm to those in front and behind, using slight signals and pulses to my quads and calves. I was able to maintain position in my pace line without approaching exhaustion. We were tearing through the miles at speeds I'd never experienced. We flew through Hell's Gate at mile 60 in just over 2 hours. I realized that at this pace, I could actually beat that arrogant 40-something. So I made that my goal. But turning into that infamous southerly headwind segment, maintaining my place in the pace line became extremely difficult. Yet I knew that if I fell out, all would be lost. I fought to defend my position. Temperatures were rising. I ran out of water. Each twitch of my leg muscles caused searing lactic acid burn. Riders were falling out left and right. Soon there were no pace lines at all, and I was on my own. Alone, I fought the wind and the heat. As I turned into the final 10-mile leg, so thirsty and exhausted, my legs were cramping. Each revolution was unbearably painful. I was 30 minutes short of 5 hours. I still had a chance, but I was sinking fast. I reached deep within myself, looking for a way to endure the pain and keep going. Come on, Randel. You can do it, buddy. Just get in there. Come on. It's now or never. Keep going. All you got to do is finish. But the pain would not go away. I was disgusted with my temptations to quit and chided myself further. Boy, you sure know how to start things, asshole. But you know what, Randel? You can't finish shit. All your life, you've been starting things, and then you quit. When are you going to stand up? When are you going to stop being a quitter? For once in your damn life, stand up and be a man. And it worked. The mind game I had with him, the special little boy that thought he couldn't change in me, the old man, restrained by resentment, transcended the pain and thirst and delivered me to Main Street. Ahead, I saw the finish line. I sat upright and threw my arms high into the air. As my early finish was announced over the speakers, I crossed the line, coasted to a stop, dazed by what had just happened, and oddly, with so few people there to applaud it. For 3 years now, I've walked taller, because in 2009, at age 57, I finished that 102-mile ride in 4 hours and 53 minutes. Riding at an average speed of 21.3 on 3 bottles of water, finally I stood proudly as a man. For the first time in my life, I looked bravely into the future and the past, feeling the presence of the special little boy somewhere. I said, "Come on, buddy, let's go."